In this video, I'll explain how to summarize, paraphrase, and quote from a source. There's also an exercise at the end so you can practice. Doing these three things correctly helps you avoid plagiarism. For more on that, you can click on the annotations in the corners of this video for other videos related to avoiding plagiarism. Plagiarism is when you inappropriately use someone else's ideas, words, or sentence structure. You're welcome to use all of those if you cite it properly, but knowing when and how to cite is key to avoiding plagiarism. First, let's look at summary. Often when students summarize in papers, they think that because they're putting the information into their own words, they don't need to cite it. That's not the case. When you summarize, you still need to cite the source of your information or ideas. A summary is significantly shorter than the source material, and only covers key ideas and general themes. Your summary should be in your own voice and style, and it should fit the voice and style of the rest of your paper. Sometimes I recommend waiting a while after reading something to write from it so you don't accidentally copy words or sentence structure, but summary is significantly different enough that you generally won't have to wait long, if at all. You also will likely not need to take notes on a source in order to summarize it. Still, when you're done with your summary, you will need to create an in-text citation. Paraphrasing is a bit harder, both in terms of the amount of time it takes and in how difficult it is to avoid plagiarizing. A paraphrased section can be shorter or longer than the original. It depends on how you write it. The idea is to cover all of the same information, but to do it in your own words. As you can imagine, if you're trying to cover the same ideas, it's easy to copy words, phrases, or sentence structure. To avoid this, take detailed notes as you read your source, covering each section. Then take a break to allow the particular phrases and structures to leave your head. Then, once you're ready, write your paraphrase, working from your notes. With this process, it might be a bit arduous, but you will avoid plagiarizing. Finally, we have quotes. Quotes help build ethos, credibility, and are a great way to include others' ideas. You're likely familiar with the traditional way of using quotes, placing quotation marks around the material you've lifted from a source. When you do that, include your in-text citation, generally the author's last name and page number, in parentheses, after the quotation mark like I've done here. Sometimes, though, you need to quote a large section. Here, I've written a sample introductory sentence and then included a quote that is 4 lines or more from Mark Twain's essay, Cornpone Opinions. This is called a block quote. I've indented each line twice to separate it from my main text, and I include my in-text citation at the end of the quote. Remember to always cite when you summarize, paraphrase, or quote. You want to keep information from a source grouped together, and if you do, you only need to include your in-text citation at the end. If you're using information from a source for multiple paragraphs, though, you'll want to include an in-text citation at the end of each paragraph. You also need to do an in-text citation within the paragraph if you either switch to information from another source or if you move from your source to your own opinion. Remember, the in-text citation is there to show that material before it is attributed to another source. Forgetting in-text citations doesn't mean you're a cheater, but it does make you a plagiarist. Correct citations are a professional and ethical obligation. Now that we've talked about it, let's practice. Click the link to the episode of This American Life called Something Only I Can See. You'll notice that it's divided into sections: a prologue, Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. Summarize Act 1, select quotes from Act 2, and paraphrase a section of Act 3. Don't try to paraphrase all of Act 3 because that would take too long. Make sure in each instance to include in-text citations. On this slide, I've listed the full citation just for fun. That would go in the Works Cited page. But the in-text citation is there for you to use. If you need further help, click the link to the Purdue OWL in the description of this video, or feel free to compare your work with your peers. If that doesn't clear things up, email your professor for assistance. It's important to get this right, so take your time and be careful.